Hong, please say again. Okay, thank you.
Could we close the door, please? This is a draft. Ready?
Yes, Master.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. We just performed our month-end Great Compassion Repentance. Thank you all for joining us. As usual, every time at the end of the month, I look forward to this because every time I do this, I feel very light. I don't know about you, but the spine, it seems like there's tingling feeling in the spine. Anyone? No. Okay, then it's hopeless for you. The tingling in the spine means that the chi is flowing and that it has an effect of clearing out a lot of blockages in your body. And so it's a good thing. So typically what it means is that every time you do repentance, your body is a little bit healthier, less sick, if you will. We have a doctor with us here today. I'm not sure she will agree with that, but that's what happens to us, okay? All right, so this is something that's one of the constant benefits of doing repentances, all right? When you repent, you eradicate the karmic obstructions. And for me, I have validation that some of my karmic retributions have been eradicated because my body feels better, has more chi flowing through it. All right, so, all right, and also for today, we have a guest from very far away. Originally, he flew from St. Louis to Taiwan and back to LAX to share with us some of the recent experiences that his family has had with the illnesses. Now I give you Jack Wu from at Wei Mountain Temple right now. Go ahead, Jack.
Emitofuo, thank you, Master. I want to take this opportunity today to talk about the experience that my family had with my father-in-law's illness. I think it's important that I speak about it. There's some pretty miraculous events, auspicious timing, and I don't have time to go into all the detail, but I'll truncate what I can here. So at the end of July of 2023, my father-in-law, who was in China at the time, started having a little tingling in his throat. And then by the end of August, his back started hurting and he was really unable to swallow. By the middle of September, which was September 18th, he went to the hospital and he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. It had locally metastasized to 2 of the lymph nodes in his neck. The tumor was extremely large, and he wasn't able to swallow without a great amount of pain. He had already lost 30 or 40 pounds, going from about 160, 170 to about 120. So pretty close to his death.
So just a minute. So the esophagus cancer, the survival rate is, what is that? Do you know?
Thank you. Yes. The esophageal cancer is one of the top 5 deadliest cancers, number 3 or number 4, according to the mortality rate, which means that it kills more people than all the other cancers. It's very hard to cure. Although it seems pretty common, it's epidemic now in China, and people are not surviving. It's a very deadly disease. As I just mentioned, from the end of July until September, he was already emaciated. The cancer was overtaking him.
Okay.
So at that time, we got a phone call from my mother-in-law saying that he had late-stage cancer. He had a large lump. And the esophageal cancer was very high in his esophagus, which makes it very, very hard to treat. So I'm going to back up a little bit here. At the beginning of September, the Sangha had called me and talked to me about, I'd been donating some items for the daycare, the new kitchen, and some Venerable Excess, and Thomas had mentioned maybe I could think about getting some plaques for myself and for my family, past creditor, things like that. So we decided to finally get those plaques around September 24th, and the next day is when we got the call about my father-in-law. So we knew about the plaques then. We decided to get plaques for our family. The next day, my father-in-law was sick. I called the Venerables. They had suggested that we get some plaques for my father, quite a bit, and they explained the reason for each one. So we decided to get those plaques, and Master agreed to help. My wife then traveled to China at the end of September, and things started getting a little strange. So we were very, very desperate at the time. In China, during October 1st, it's the holiday. A lot of things are closed. So my father-in-law's aggressive esophageal cancer was getting no treatment until October the 7th, when things opened up again. So he finally was able to see doctors on October 8th. We saw multiple doctors, one in Shenyang, which is the capital of Liaoningsin, which is a big province in China, and a doctor in Beijing. These were both surgeons that said that his cancer was non-operable because of the size and the location. The risk was too high for them to operate. The treatment plan was chemo and radiation. So we were able to get him on chemo. I'll backtrack again. In early September, I was reading the Medicine Master Buddha Sutra, and in the sutra, it says that we should help people according to our ability. There was a friend of mine who needed some help. I helped him, and it turns out after I finished helping him, my father-in-law had cancer, and then I found out later that this guy is a very well-known pharmacist, cancer pharmacist, actually. So he told us about treatments in America, told us about some special drugs that they had available, some new drugs, and we were able to request that in China. I think that helped a lot as well. So then in the middle of October, we're stressing out a lot, and my wife, Dayang, had requested to see Master. She was in Dandong at the time taking care of her father, and Master was in Korea. Venerable XS asked why she wanted to see Master. She just said she was very afraid and didn't know what to do, extremely distraught. So Master agreed to a Zoom meeting, and they had a meeting and they talked. At the time, and I apologize if I'm retelling the story wrong, but what I remember is Master had said, you know, he can't guarantee that he will cure the cancer or how long that my father-in-law will live, but we had gotten the pre-49-day plaque, and Master had said that he's going to go to a very happy place. And later on, we found out that Master had told us during the New Year that he would go to the Pure Land if he were to pass away. After that meeting, thank you, Master. After that meeting, we felt a lot of relief. So in Master's lectures, he's said before that the pre-49-day plaque will provide you some type of stability and emotional stability, which for us during this cancer treatment, it was about 6 months, was totally true. It was true for us. Having the pre-49-day plaque, knowing that my father-in-law, regardless of what the outcome was, he would go to this place, made it much easier for us to go about our business in treating him. When someone in the family gets cancer, it engulfs your whole life. Everything gets put aside, and you just try to treat it. Now, after the meeting with Master, we were starting to, one other thing that we talked to Master about was bringing my father-in-law to the United States and getting his advice. He agreed that it would be good for my father-in-law to be with his daughter. Luckily, my father-in-law had a 10-year visa for travel, so we were able to get him here right away. But the real problem was trying to get him into a hospital. Fortunately for us in St. Louis, we have one of the best cancer centers in the world, Siteman Cancer Center, and everything went so smooth. We were able to get him a doctor's appointment within a week, and as soon as he flew here, he saw a doctor within 3 days. Now, the reason this happened was some strange things did happen. After Diane talked to Master, the next day she was traveling back to Shenyang to see one of my friends who was an American who was living in Shenyang. He was American by birth, white guy, but he spoke very good Chinese, and he was going to help us translate all the medical documents. It was stacks and stacks of medical documentation. The next morning when she arrived, my friend had told her that morning he had talked to one of his friends who was a Canadian in Shenyang who had a background in medicine. And this guy was a Christian, very devout Christian. When he saw my wife, the first thing he said to her was, "Last night, God told me somebody needs my help. And this morning when I woke up, God told me again, someone needs my help, and Chad called me, so here I am." So then they worked for 12 hours translating documents, and were able to get it done that evening. The next day, she sent the documents to me and went back to Dandong. That evening, so she went back to her parents' house. It's a 2-bedroom flat in China. That evening, my father-in-law, her father sleeps in one room, her mother and her sleep in another room. She returned home late, and around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, her mother just jumped up on the bed, sitting up, and said that she had a vision, a very scary vision, that her father had 2 black spiders, one large, one small, leaving the chest area where the esophageal cancer was. So if you remember, he has esophageal cancer, and then the cancers in the lymph nodes as well. Okay, so now when he went to the United States, things went very well. We were able to see doctors right away. We were able to see very good doctors. He was able to gain his weight back. He was able to swallow. And then in the new year, we came to see Master again because after his chemo and radiation treatment was done, they did a CT scan, and there was the lymph node cancers, the metastasized cancers were dead, but the one in the esophagus, the huge one, was 50% still active. So to them, that means it's alive. So you have to do surgery. The surgeon in St. Louis agreed to do the surgery, although it was extremely high risk. As you can see, nobody in China wanted to do it, but this surgeon was willing to give it a shot. So we talked to Master. He said it would be a good idea to do the surgery, and we proceeded with it after the new year. So during this whole time, we had been applying for a green card for my father-in-law. As some of you might know, the medical care in America is extremely expensive, especially if you don't have health insurance, which he couldn't get. So to be able to get a green card and apply for health insurance is a big relief for us. The day he went into surgery, everything was a success. It took exactly the 4 hours they said it would. We got a call. We're in the waiting room. You get a call from the OR, the operating room, and the call was the surgery was a success and he's going into recovery. As soon as I hung up that phone, the next phone call was from our immigration attorney, who said that his green card was approved, the same within 2 minutes. It was one of the fastest green card processes that he's ever seen. He's been doing it for 30 or 40 years. So then he went into recovery. He's at home now, and a month later they had pathology reports, and they did another CT scan, and it turns out that, during the surgery we were told that the cancer had grown extremely far up his esophagus. They cut out as much as possible in his esophagus, and when you do that, you want to make sure that you have some good cells in the esophagus, and below that is the cancer. That's how you know that you have a good chance of getting the whole tumor. And they were able to, with nothing left. They couldn't have gone any higher. So wherever his cancer had grown during the chemo and radiation, it stopped, and it was right there on the line. So we got the pathology report back, and it showed that all the cancer in his tumor was dead. There was no remaining cancer. And in fact, during the scan that said 50%, at that time, the cancer was already dead. Because there's no, after the chemo and radiation, the treatments don't continue to kill the cancer. The 50% was just inflammation. So now he's recovering. During the new year, and when my wife spoke to Master, she wished that her father could live an extra 5 years. And it looks like now that that's going to happen. The 5-year mortality rate doesn't apply to a person of his case, where all the cancer, it's a complete response, 100% dead, and it's been excised. So he will live a good, healthy life and bearing other causes, just having to do scans every 6 months to make sure there's no other cancers in his body, but the esophageal cancer did not metastasize and go other places. For us, we're very grateful to Master. He has spoken about reviving the Medicine Master Buddha Dharma, and we've experienced it. We requested the plaques. Not only did my father's illness get cured, but as Master has said, he wanted to instill faith in Buddhism in people. My wife is practicing diligently now with our children as well, my mother-in-law as well, and our family. Thank you, Master. I don't know what it would be like without the temple. And without your help, this process is it was so much to bear emotionally. So for us, that was really one of the miracles, was the calmness that we received from knowing that he would be taken care of, that Master was helping to the best of his ability. Successfully he did. And that now we have more faith in the Buddha Dharma. I hope that my story helps people in the future if they hear about it and they're inspired by the Medicine Master Buddha Dharma. So thank you, Master.
Thank you very much for your testimonial. We just got lucky, I guess, all of us, because it's really not much of my doing. I simply asked Medicine Master Buddha for help. Any of you can do that as well. Okay, so but apparently the Buddha was willing to help us, and that's why all these great things happen. It's not just the cancer itself, but listen to the story. It's like the diagnosis, the paperwork, and the tremendous help from so many people. And as he talked about the peace of mind and the calmness in the family, because it's rather traumatic times for the family. So that's wonderful. Thank you very much for telling us your wonderful news. One thing though I'm curious about is that any of you has cancer, and a member of your family has cancer, because you meddle with his illnesses. I will go check with, have a thorough physical checkup just in case.
Okay, I hope not.
Because in Buddhism, there's no such a thing as a freebie. Okay, and so if he's got some relief from the cancer, it's got to go somewhere. That's the
Can I make? I'm sorry, Master. I forgot there was one comment I did want to make. So when we saw you during the New Year, the question was posed about the plaque and the use of it, the medicine master, the large plaque, and you had said somebody has to die. He has cancer, and if it's not going to be him, which one of you wants to die? We didn't agree, and Master said that you would take care of it. Would be on you because they couldn't get you. So hopefully they didn't come to us. I don't.
Let's hope so.
To you.
You're the one who really wanted to help. Okay. All right. Anyone has any questions about this? No? Okay. Great news. Thank you very much for sharing the good news. I guess that's all we have for you today. Anyone would like anything else would like to talk about? No? Yes. 4.
Master, my parents are getting old, and is there any suggestion for us if they passed away? Is there anything we need to be mindful about doing after they pass away? Like this is coming from, I heard like some people say, oh, leave their body there, don't freeze them, don't move them, don't touch them for 8 days or 16 days. Anything we need to do to just help other than the pre-49, 49, and the rebirth plaque and the MMB, I got all that, but I just want to help them as much as I can. Thank you. And stop doing the wrong thing, obviously.
Okay. Very good. The question is about what the things we should be doing after someone dies, right? So in general, the Buddhist wisdom is that after someone passes, you should not touch the body for some time period, preferably hours. Okay, so leave it alone. Don't touch the body for a few hours, if possible. The wisdom is usually up to 8 hours, not days. It's not necessary. The reason being that even after you pass, you can still get afflicted if someone touches you. So it would cause afflictions to the deceased if you touch them too soon. So that's the wisdom behind it. But on the other hand, it doesn't really matter that much when we're involved, because it's not just being touched after you pass. There are a lot of things that will happen to you that are rather traumatic, and we usually take care of those issues for you as well. Okay, so in general, people should go to a temple. Only Buddhist temples would have the Dharma and maybe the skills to help, because that's we are the most knowledgeable about how to deal with the death issue. Okay, and so I would recommend in general to go to a Buddhist temple and get the temple to help out. Okay, wherever you are, whatever temple you go to, normally go to. But for us, we take care of everything, because for us it's very crucial time for us to help the deceased. We're doing this Pure Land Dharma door here primarily to help as many people as possible to go to the Pure Land. And after you pass within 49 days, that's the most opportune time for us to do that. So that's why we take it very seriously. And so that's why we take care of everything, to make sure that the deceased have a great chance to go as soon as possible. So for example, we would typically go and do funeral services for you for free, okay, and so forth, only to make sure that you, the family, the surviving relatives and friends would not be affected by the in-beings that tend to hang around at cemeteries, at funeral homes, and so forth, okay. Those are the places where those beings gather. It's their world. And so what ordinary people do not realize is that when they go to these places, it's not safe for them. So we understand that. So we would go. We wanted. We would do a lot more than people realize. It's not just ceremonies. It's protecting you, make sure that you're safe and you're sound. And because if anything happens to you, then it might affect the deceased. For example, the deceased might be very attached to her grandson. And the grandson now would come to the funeral home and become afflicted and cry out. And this is when the ghost would come in and possess the grandson. And then would affect the deceased, and she would be more reluctant to go, and she wants to stick around to help the grandson, and so forth. That's why we do a lot of things, a lot more than people realize, to make sure that the conditions are conducive and reduce the attachment, and in some rare occasions, we have to convince the deceased to go. For example, they are not Buddhists, or they don't believe in Buddha, nor don't they believe in Buddhas. Actually, they look down upon Buddhas, okay? Let alone going to the Pure Land. So it's a lot more complicated than people realize. Okay, so in brief, I don't want to confuse you too much. In brief, since you took care of your parents already for that eventuality, then we'll take care of everything. It's nothing to worry about, okay? Even if we need to move the body after they pass, it's not a big deal for us either. We can handle it, okay? So in general, the answer is nothing to worry about. The only thing you need to worry about is tell us as soon as possible, okay? So that we can take care of them immediately, okay? Okay, thank you for asking. All right, I think time is up. We stop here today, take a short break and come back and do the lunch offering. Thank you all for coming. Oh yes, you have a question? Quickly. 9, yes.
Master, you mentioned to us that when we do hands and eyes, afterwards we can put the weapons away, hide them by putting them away at Dantian. Since then, I noticed some people do it this way after practice. So I just would like to clarify, should we put them away at our head or Dantian?
Either way is fine.
Okay, thank you, Master.
Okay, Wei Bao.
A Di Đà Phật, con chào thầy. Mỗi buổi sáng đó thì con hay ngồi thiền, và sau khi ngồi thiền đó thì con hay niệm chú Dược Sư, chú Lăng Nghiêm với lại ngũ bộ chú. Mà chú Lăng Nghiêm đó, nếu mà con niệm từ cái câu mà 544 tới 554 thì không sao hết. Mà khi mà con niệm nguyên một cái chú dài tiếng Tàu hoặc là tiếng Việt Nam tới 5 đệ thì cái mặt con tự nhiên nó sạm lại, nó sạm cái da, nó sạm thấy rõ. Và khi mà con niệm hết rồi đó, thì con niệm qua cái chú Đại Bi, thì cái da mặt nó bắt đầu nó trắng lại, nó sáng trở lại. Thì con không biết là cái đó có cái gì sai hay không. Cảm ơn thầy.
Emitofuo, Master. So every morning after my meditation, I recite Medicine Master mantra, 5 division mantra, and 2 Shurangama mantra. However, if I recite the line 554, the last one is not a problem. However, when I recite all 5 of them, and I realize that my face becomes darker, it's actually very clear. However, after that, I recite Great Compassion mantra, and my face become wider and more vibrant. I don't know if I do anything wrong. Thank you, Master.
Nothing wrong, nothing to worry about. Continue to do the same thing. It's no problem in the end, right? So don't worry so much, okay? You worry too much. It's okay.
Yeah, cảm ơn thầy.
Okay. Everything is fine. It's nothing to be concerned about. Yes, you too.
Thank you, Master. We have a question from Chang Chang. I have already requested rebirth plaques for my parents. Is it still necessary to visit their grave?
Necessary to do what?
To visit them at the cemetery?
Is it necessary? No, it's never necessary. In fact, going to cemeteries is a rather emotional thing for you. It's a nice Asian tradition, but there are some risks when you go to cemeteries because that's where the ghosts hang out. It's their world. Yin world is in the cemeteries. If you've seen the movie Poltergeist 1, 2, 3, or whatever, it's not totally untrue. Okay, you don't want to mess with cemeteries areas. Okay, or even such places, funeral homes and so forth. That's why they live. They hang out. Okay, they have parties and so forth. You need to respect that. But so the people who visit cemeteries actually is not a good thing. I personally don't like cemeteries. I don't like to go to cemeteries unless I must. Okay. Even in my profession, I go there reluctantly. So usually I don't like going there, so I send my disciples there instead. It's a joke. Okay. All right. But if you must go, if you feel that you must go for emotional reasons or whatever, I would be very careful. Okay. If you have to go, preferably, I would recommend that you try not to go and hire someone to take care of the tombs, if possible, okay, and try to avoid going. It doesn't matter anymore. If you use the Buddhist Dharma to take care of the deceased, they will be taken care of. The tombs and so forth are meaningless. They don't matter anymore, okay? So if you must go, I would be very cautious, and if you go, the one thing you want to avoid is get emotional. I saw in movies where they go to in front of the tomb and they cry and so forth. Don't do that. If you get emotional, the ghost can enter you. Or when you have children going to the funeral homes when there is for their, and you see them crying, that's not a good sign, okay? And so that's why even especially young children and so forth, keep them away from cemeteries, from the funeral homes, places like that, okay? Or crematories and so forth. Mausoleums, whatever they call it, okay? Keep them away, stay away from these places. Okay, you are not professionals. Even the professionals, I've seen too many monks and nuns who are possessed by the ghosts because they go and do ceremonies at the funeral homes and the cemeteries. Okay, that's how they support themselves. Okay, it's not a good thing to do unless you're trained to handle it. Okay, I've seen, for example, people, Master Shun, my Chinese master disciples, whose level is pretty high back then, higher than most monks and nuns, to be honest with you. He's a lay person, and he got possessed because he went to a ash room at the temple, and they possessed him. And he knew he was possessed, so it took him 1 day to shed the ghost. That's how dangerous it is, folks. It's no joking matter at all. Trust me, it's very, very dangerous. Stay away if you can of those places. I wouldn't go near those places. Okay, so we avoid those places, and I hope my disciples won't get in trouble. Okay, it's funny that the Asians, I'm looking at my Mohawk disciple here, and I can't help but chuckle. Anyway, I don't know what I wanted. I forgot what I wanted to say. The thing about these places, they are dangerous. I don't recommend that you go to these places at all. Okay, stay away if you can. If you go there, then pray to the Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, constantly. Okay, and watch out. Keep the kids away and watch out. Don't get emotional. Okay, be respectful. It's their territory. Don't walk in there and say, "So Master YongHua said this is where you guys hang out. Show me. I'm not afraid of you." If you ever dare go to that place, those places, and say, "I'm not afraid of you," they're gonna give you a good time. They come and hang out with you. Okay, they follow you back home and hang out with you for a while. Okay, yeah. All right. Be careful. I can't stress this enough. This is no joking matter at all. No. All right. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you.